Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here, and today we're talking about the series finale of WandaVision. I feel like we should have known going into this that Wanda was not going to get her happy ending. I desperately wanted her to, but it was foolish of me because I know that this is just the start of Wanda's story. Kevin Feige, or Feige, I don't know how to pronounce that. He said to us that this is just going to be the start of her story and that she is going to be a central point in Phase 4, which is everything I want. I can't complain about it not wrapping up because this is the first part of Phase 4. This is the first piece of Marvel content we've had in this era, and her story is going to run all the way through it. In the first era of Marvel, it was very much about Tony Stark and Captain America, Steve Rogers. And it seems like we've got to a point where Wanda has fulfilled her destiny to usurp him. Yes, the man who sent the weapons and destroyed her family and caused the death of her brother and really everything that went wrong. She's now usurped him in the MCU. She's like the big focus point of Phase 4, and it looks like our other focal point is probably going to be Carol. In the comics, Carol and Wanda have like quite a complex history and friendship and ups and downs, and I know they won't be able to get into that like completely because it's not following the same storyline as the comics, but it is nice to see that Phase 4 is going to have them front and centre. Not to get all like society and political about it, but you can really feel like a change with the generations, that this era is very much like, I mean, like before it was like male heroes and there was just Black Widow and she didn't have her own film, and this era it seems to be way more about character, like how interesting the characters are, like following their stories. They're not afraid to put women at the front, they're not afraid to give us Sam Wilson's story. Like, I'm just really excited for the direction it's going in. I know a lot of people have beef with Marvel, I've seen this on Twitter a lot, and I'm not here to like defend the corporation of Marvel or anything like that. And yeah, there's arguments to be had about whether like these streaming services and these big companies should like have this monopoly on entertainment. But I do think that if we have a situation where these people are in charge, I am glad to see that it's taking the steps to be diverse, to give us these stories. If we look at what's coming in Marvel, I mean, think about it. I will talk about Billy soon. Billy is one of my favourite characters. He's been in WandaVision, we all love him now, but Billy Kaplan, or Billy Maximoff, Wiccan, is like one of the big main characters of the Marvel comics right now. Him and his husband Hulkling, they're only 19 but they're married, and Hulkling is the king of space and Billy is like the most powerful being there is. So we're gonna have like a really prominent like gay power couple that are like super powerful and exciting. We're gonna have like Kamala Khan, we've got Monica Rambeau suddenly like turning into either Spectron or Photon. We still don't know what name she's gonna take. I'm so excited about the Young Avengers in particular. Like, I feel like if you're someone who isn't usually into Marvel, you will like Young Avengers. Like, Young Avengers is just, it's so good. It's, I don't know, I'll probably make a video about Young Avengers at some point, but they're like my favourite kind of comics series and my favourite comics team because they're so diverse and so funny, and they deal with a lot of issues, but it's also like escapism. It's not like dark. Anyway, so to see us building to them is just super exciting, and that will mean a lot to people. Like, I know it will. The fact we've even got Billy and Tommy, of course. I don't mean to put Tommy second like that. I absolutely love Tommy. But Billy is like, he's like the main man in the comics. He's going to take over from Doctor Strange as the new Sorcerer Supreme. He's going to become the Demiurge. He's going to be more powerful than Wanda. I mean, Billy is like, he's a big character. They're not like these sidelined characters. They are absolutely huge in the Marvel comics right now. So yeah, Wanda's story. I cried a lot after watching the episode because I didn't want her to end up on her own again. And I feel like I kind of knew maybe she might. I was fooling myself. I was fooling myself and thinking, oh, you know, maybe she can use her powers and bring them all through and bring Pietro back. And yeah, that didn't happen. But I knew like it couldn't happen. It couldn't happen at this point. I will be angry if it can't happen at any point in the future because I feel like it should. But yeah, I can understand at this point. And also with the twins. So as I've already gone on about in this video for no reason, you know how much I love the Young Avengers and how important it is that the twins come through to us as their Young Avengers selves. But something I was thinking about was I wasn't sure how they were going to translate these kids into their Young Avengers selves. So if they aged them up in this last episode, because I wondered if they were going to age them up for the fight and they were going to be there like Young Avengers, like 17-year-olds. But I think that would have been hard for them to do and make them into their real comics characters, which are what people love so much. Because in the comics themselves, these versions of them only exist because Wanda created them. So she creates them, she uses these souls. I've spoken to you about this before. They're actually a part of the demon Mephisto's soul, and Master Pandemonium, who's one of Mephisto's lackeys, like absorbs them into his hands again. And they become the characters that we know and love so much because Scarlet Witch manages to reincarnate their souls and she doesn't realise she's done it. And this is really important for them and their characterisation, because something about Billy Kaplan is that he is a gay Jewish fanboy wizard, and he talks about himself like that. He's absolutely lovely as a character, he's a total nerd, but he's openly Jewish, and like that comes across a lot in the comics, and it's important to him as a character. And it's not something that he could really have had if they had just grown him up from Wanda's universe, because his soul has to end up with a family called the Kaplans, who are a Jewish family, and he will be their oldest son, and there are 2 other kids, and he has to go to like a normal high school. I will make a video about Billy and Tommy and like all the Young Avengers at some point maybe. But Billy grows up not knowing that he's this reincarnated son of the Scarlet Witch, and he gets bullied at school because he's openly gay, and he really idolises the Avengers. Like, he's a nerd, he's a fanboy, and he loves the Avengers so much. And he's been beaten up at school one time, and he sees Wanda, who is his favourite Avenger, and she heals him because he's bruised, and she basically gives him a pep talk. And yeah, it doesn't go well, because the next day at school, the bully, he starts bullying another kid, and Billy steps in and suddenly his powers emerge, and yeah, that's the start of his story. And with Tommy, he ends up in a juvenile detention centre. He comes from a more troubled home. We don't know much about his parents other than they're divorced, but at one point he explodes his school by accident. So yeah, they have to become those characters. Like Tommy, if he had come out of this universe straight away, I mean, you could say that like the trauma of it made him kind of cynical, but I feel like maybe he needs to have grown up without Billy because they're too strong together. Like, I feel like with Wanda and Pietro, for example, they had each other and they kind of held each other up a bit, and you can see that the twins in WandaVision have that too, this version of them. I mean, the first line of the episode was little Tommy saying, like, leave us alone, you leave my brother alone. I mean, I just love Tommy. But I do think that maybe they need to be on their own out there and to find each other again, which is what they do in the comics. So I think that what they're actually doing in the Multiverse of Madness is they're taking elements from one of my favourite comics, possibly my favourite comic, which is the Children's Crusade. So in the Children's Crusade, we have Wanda, who is post-House of M, post-disassembled. So after losing control of her powers and creating the false reality with Pietro and coming to terms with everything she's done and that her children are dead, she goes off-grid and nobody can find her. The Avengers and the X-Men want to find her because they think she's dangerous or they want to save her, depending on who's who. I mean, the X-Men are obviously more angry with her because she said no more mutants and they lost their mutant gene. Pietro's been desperately trying to find her. He can't find her either. At this point, he's in deep trouble in the comics, because they know that he had something to do with the whole M-Day thing and the mutants losing their powers, so yeah, they really hate him. He has a whole story where he tries to get the mutants their powers back using Terrigen crystals, and yeah, it goes terribly wrong for poor Pietro. But Wanda is off-grid, and in the meantime, the Young Avengers have assembled at this point. They've been a team for a little while, and they've recently broken Tommy out of his juvenile detention facility. This is actually part of another storyline, and this is to do with Billy's husband Teddy and his heritage, which is being half Kree and half Skrull, and he's the long lost heir that will one day be their emperor and unite them, which is exactly what he's doing in the comics right now. He's in the first year of their reign, and actually a new comic for them, for Wiccan and Hulkling, came out, I think it was just yesterday, and it's really good. They're on honeymoon, but obviously because they're superheroes, like there's superhero stuff involved. But once the Young Avengers have been together for a while, Billy is absolutely convinced that he and Tommy are the reincarnated sons of the Scarlet Witch, and Tommy is sceptical. The Young Avengers are kind of a bit sceptical, but Billy is absolutely convinced. I mean, he's right to be convinced because he has the same powers as Wanda, and Tommy has the same powers as Quicksilver, and they have the same names of the children that Wanda had long ago. So what happens at this point in the Children's Crusade, and where that story starts, is that they are on a mission together and it's going really well, the Young Avengers, and there are these like nasty homophobic xenophobic, horrible, terroristy people. One of them gets hold of Teddy, so that's Billy's boyfriend, and Billy loses control of his powers the same way that Wanda loses control of hers. So he goes off like a nuclear bomb. Nobody's actually hurt. I think people are just put to sleep. But the Avengers realise, wait, I think we've got another Wanda on our hands here. And it becomes a very real possibility to them now that actually, yeah, okay, maybe this boy is actually Wanda's son. So Billy and the Young Avengers want to try and find Wanda. They're convinced she's still out there, and they think they can fix her because they don't know what's wrong with her. They don't know if she's like depressed or if she's still having a breakdown, but they want to go to her and say, look, we're still here, mum, like we are your twin sons. There's a lot more to it than that, and actually Pietro and Magneto both go with the Young Avengers. Well, they don't go with them, but Magneto turns up to try and commandeer the Young Avengers, which Eli is having none of. We're going to meet Eli, so that's Patriot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I can't wait for that. And they run into Pietro while they're looking for Wanda in Latveria, which is the country that they think she's in because of Billy's powers. And there's a lot of family bonding, and Pietro realising that, okay, these might be my nephews. Magneto deciding he's actually going to try and be a good grandfather. I mean, you have Teddy Hulkling, like, really tearing into Quicksilver. He like really has a go at Pietro, and he tells him off, and he's like, oh my god, you Maximoffs, you're so toxic and it's bad for Billy. What are you doing leading my boyfriend astray like this? And Pietro just takes it because, I mean, that's kind of his future nephew-in-law. Anyway, they find Wanda and she's dressed in her hood, which is I think what they were trying to go with her outfit in this episode of WandaVision, with her flying off with her hood and her cape. And she has lost her memories and she is due to be married to Doctor Doom. I don't think they're going to actually go with that in this version. But essentially, yeah, Billy and Tommy go, and Billy manages to wake her up, and Wanda realises who she is, and she regains her powers, and there's this lovely scene where she like rises up and hugs Billy, she hugs her kids, and she resolves she's going to put everything right. And it is very much like in this episode, and I think they used elements of that with her saying that she's so sorry for what she's done. She doesn't know how to make up for it. She didn't mean it, but she also knows that people have a right to be angry, and all she can do is try and do her best. So in Children's Crusade, she starts trying to give the mutants back their powers, and she resolves that she's going to prove to them that she didn't mean it, and that, you know, she is a good person. And I think that's probably where we're headed with Doctor Strange too. Because Agatha was saying, oh, you don't know what you've unleashed to Wanda. Look, I'm still not letting go of the Mephisto thing because of the Loki trailer where the devil is very clearly in it. There have been so many links to the devil. This is just the start of Phase 4. I would not be surprised if Wanda and her powers have opened up the universe or the multiverse, and Mephisto's made his way through. But presumably whatever's happened with Wanda's magic has done something bad, and Doctor Strange is going to need to try and find her. And he might not be able to try and find her because we know that Wanda is more powerful than him, so they're probably going to mix it with the Children's Crusade storyline where he finds Billy and Tommy, the reincarnated sons, and he gets them to find their mother because Billy is connected to her and he can use his powers. I think that's probably what they're going to go with that. Obviously, instead of the whole like amnesia, she doesn't know what's going on thing, and getting married to Doctor Doom, I assume she's going to be studying from the Darkhold because she seems pretty determined to bring her children back, and I hope that she also has plans to bring back her brother, of course. I never shut up about this, but come on, Wanda is a creature of pure creation. She can create at will. And Agatha says to her in this episode that the only thing holding her back, it's not her power, it's her knowledge. So she needs to learn how to do these spells, and we know she's going to manage to reincarnate her children in the real world. So if she learns how to do that, I think she could learn how to bring back Vision. I'll get to Vision in a bit, she might not even need to bring him back. But also Pietro, because like in the comics, in House of M itself, like he gets killed, she brings him back. Like it happens a lot in the comics, like they're so connected. I won't talk about them too much this video, but yeah. It needs to happen. I would love to see it happen. I think they've also escaped from Wanda being too superpowered as well with what they've done, because she is a problem, and she was a problem in the comics in the past, I think, because her powers are just so extreme that she could probably get herself and everyone else out of any trouble. So yeah, it's a good thing that she has to learn, and there has to be rules, and she has to learn witchcraft, otherwise we wouldn't have a story. It's the same with Billy, who ends up being more powerful than Wanda. He has like anxiety, he gets quite depressed, he has low self-esteem, he's quite kind of unstable at times, so that stops him from being too overpowered as well, and the fact he's got Teddy who keeps him level and is just a wonderful, perfect husband. I mean, for sure they're setting that up. I mean, they're doing the storyline where the twins are going to be reincarnated into new bodies, and there they will be, fully grown, Billy Kaplan and Tommy Shepherd. And although obviously I am sad I didn't get to see them, I also think this is the best way, because it's really important that they keep Billy, especially, it's important they keep him Jewish, because that's such an important part of his character and who he is, and he references it all the time in the comics, and that's just important, and I wouldn't have wanted them to not give him that. That is important. Also, with regard to the twins, little Tommy getting his goggles was adorable. He's gonna get those, obviously, when he is put into the real world. Also, now he has a green blur colour, which is perfect, because when we saw him use his speed before, he was blue like Pietro. And the fact they've given him green, like in the comics, which pleases me very much. I wouldn't have wanted them to give him blue. He's green. But it also means that there's still room for a blue speedster, right? So yeah, that part of the show was sad, but satisfying in the sense that I can see that they're going in the direction I want them to, and things are looking good for Young Avengers. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to Billy and Tommy. Although I'm going to miss the young actors so much. I'm hoping that when we see them in Young Avengers, or whenever we see them, we get to have maybe some flashbacks using the young actors of their lives in this version of reality, so with their families. I would just love to see that. Wanda's outfit, I mean, like... This show means a lot to me, because I didn't think there'd ever be a show about my favourite comics character, Wanda Maximoff. I didn't think this would be a thing that would ever happen, and yet here she is. And the whole time she's been in the MCU, I really liked how they dressed her in Age of Ultron. I liked her civilian clothes in that, I thought they were very good. But her superhero costume, it left a little to be desired. I feel like it was getting there, but it was playing a little bit safe. You know, Wanda does have her headdress, she has her curly hair. Wanda has to have her curly hair, like, in the comics, it's her thing. And yeah, I am really happy with the outfit, because obviously in the comics, like, she's running around in like a bodysuit. Like, it's like a little, like, leotard, like a red leotard and pink tights, like we saw in the episode earlier. But like, come on, we need like a practical superhero costume for a modern woman that isn't too revealing, that is practical, and I think it's a good meet in the middle place. Like, I really like the outfit, I have to say. The only thing I would say, and this is true of all the superhero stuff I watch, maybe not Umbrella Academy though, I don't think just because superheroes are in like a real world setting, the colours have to be dulled. Like, I would say, like, give Wanda bright red, like, put her in bright red, like, why not? Why not? I just think when it comes to like the colours, just like go for it. It's the superhero genre, like you don't have to ground it, like really give us that. Okay, so I am seeing a lot of very upset people on Twitter about Ralph Boner. And I have to laugh. I have to laugh. Yeah, wasn't a fan of that part, I have to admit. But what I am pleased about is that finally, like, we can be rid of the idea that Evan Peters Pietro is going to in any way become our Pietro and take over from Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who is the perfect Pietro and does not need replacing, he needs reviving. So Evan Peters being cast is more of like a gag, because he was obviously Quicksilver in the Fox films. It was like a fun joke, and I think that some of his fans got a little bit too excited and thought that somehow he would work in this universe, which I definitely did not think he would, unless he was given the real Pietro's actual memories, or he was a genuine recast, not in story. Because that character has his own family, and he's from a different time period, and why would he come over? He has friends, he doesn't have any attachment to Wanda, like, it wouldn't work. I didn't understand people that wanted that. Like, how can he be a character you love so much, but you want to detach him from everything he knows? Like, I don't understand that. It would be like me saying, yeah, let's put Wanda in the Fox films, like this version of Wanda, but let's not include any of her relationships whatsoever, and also let's make her, like, permanently American. It just wouldn't work. I am sorry for those people, though, like, and I do think it could have been way better explained. Like, something I will say about this last episode is I think it should have been longer. I think it should have been split into two, because there was so much action, and for me, what I've actually enjoyed about WandaVision is more the character stuff, the psychological stuff, the exploration of grief, and I don't actually need so much of that action stuff personally. I know a lot of people really love it, but I think the episode would have benefited from maybe another at least 15-20 minutes to really, like, to explain those things. That just needed to be explained more for me in the episode, and it was like too quick. But yeah, I'm glad he's not an alternate universe Pietro, because I have to admit, I was pleased. When I saw he was Ralph, like, I let out such a sigh of relief, because there is one Pietro. And look, the show itself wants us to know this. They've tried so hard to let us know, and some people just aren't having it. But, you know, they're right. He is Pietro. He's fake Pietro. He does not act like Pietro from this universe, the Marvel universe, or from the comics. He was always just the sitcom brother, you know, he was not Pietro. So all those people being like, oh, he was like a way better Pietro, he was playing a sitcom brother. The character you love is a sitcom brother that looks like Evan Peters. That character that you love is not Pietro Maximoff. Like, cool if you love him, but you don't love Pietro. You love a sitcom trope. And here's the thing, and I am going to talk about Pietro again, because, right, Wanda is a being of pure creation. She would bring back her brother. Like, if we're talking about the Wanda that we know from this version of the Marvel Universe, from the comics, if Wanda could bring back her twin, her Pietro, who gave his life for her, and for good, and I mean, we can see in the flashbacks even, it's just like in the comics, where you can see that boy did not have a full childhood because he was Wanda's protector. Even then, he had to be this little man in this horrible environment so that Wanda could have some semblance of safety in life, and he gave that to Wanda, and he doesn't deserve to be dead. But there is no reason to me why he would not be able to be brought back by Wanda once she figures out how to use her powers properly. She's a being of creation, of pure creation. Like, what's the point of being a being of pure creation if you can't bring back your family? Like, I can suspend my disbelief on a lot of things, but if Wanda never even tries to bring back Pietro, I just won't believe it, because I'm a sister myself. I'm a very close sister to my brother. Dan is my best friend ever. He's the most brilliant person in the world. If anything ever happened to Dan and I had, like, spontaneous creation powers, he would be there like that. Like, there is no way. There would be no minute I wasn't thinking about doing it. And I wonder why they didn't cast Aaron Taylor-Johnson for this part, because this is the thing that's confusing me, and the thing that is keeping my hope alive that maybe they want to bring him in or something, because this role was clearly written as a fake Pietro. They wanted it to be somebody that was obviously not right, so there was a reason they didn't choose Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Now, it could just be that he wasn't available, he didn't want to do it for some reason, but he said that he would be happy to come back to Marvel. And also, when they've spoken about the casting of Evan Peters, they said they wanted to choose someone to be that sitcom trope and to mess with Wanda. So yeah, it would have been more emotional, those scenes, if they'd cast Aaron Taylor-Johnson. So I'm thinking, why didn't they? It could just be a scheduling issue, you know, it could be that he wasn't available and that's why. But, you know, it could be something deeper. It could be that they want this to just be that sitcom trope guy. Maybe that would create too many problems for them going forward, because maybe they want to bring him back. Like, I have to cling to that, because I still think, like, this whole show is about Wanda and her grief and her becoming the Scarlet Witch of the comics. You don't have your Scarlet Witch without your Quicksilver. I'm just saying, you cannot have Scarlet Witch without Quicksilver. I'm not saying they have to be together all the time, but if you're as obsessed with Scarlet Witch in the comics as I am, like, you can't really, like, take them away from each other for too long. Like, they need each other so much. And the weird thing is, like, the show itself, the people that wrote this show and understand Wanda understood that. They understood that. They did not need to have Pietro mentioned at all. They didn't need to have this fake Pietro that Wanda's grieving so much that she wants to believe is real. They didn't have to do that. They clearly understand how important Pietro is as a character to Wanda, which again gives me hope. Like, is something coming in the future? Why not? Like, this is her phase 4. This is Wanda's moment. Think about Tony Stark's great story and Steve's great story they had across all that time. We've got so much time. This is just the start. If anyone from Marvel is watching this, please, we all want to see Pietro back. Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Pietro, I beg you. Okay, so the Vision situation. I really like the concept of this, but again, I really do think they should have spent longer on it, because it's so interesting. Like, they kind of flirted with it. They flirted with the idea, with Agatha saying, like, you know, the boyfriend and the ex, who are you going to choose? Like, to me, I think that would have made... They should have made more of that. Like, that could have been really dramatic. And I mean, like, they did get into it in the two Visions scene where they're talking, but I just feel like they could have made more drama out of that. I think that could have been more impactful. I think especially in terms of Wanda herself realising that, wait, that guy is my vision, isn't he? Like, but is this my vision? Did I just create him? Like, I mean, it would get a bit much, it would get a bit crazy, but I'm here for that kind of drama. In Young Avengers, by the way, we have a situation which it kind of makes me think a little bit about the situation that's in the Young Avengers and is like the main issue that Teddy and Billy have, which is that Billy is like his mum, he's a reality warper and he can create things, and there's a point in the comics where he's convinced that he's actually created Teddy and that Teddy might not be real and he's just a creation doing his bidding, and he doesn't even realise, which is kind of what Wanda has been doing in this universe. I just think there was a great opportunity to really explore that, and it needed more time. Like, there could have been another episode here to explore that. It all just happened at once. So we assume that Vision is gonna survive because now the White Vision is going to start to... He's got his memories and he might start to emotionally connect to them. I don't know where he went. I don't know where he went. He had responsibilities, you know, there's a family in there. Wanda's right there, but no, he's gone. I don't know where he's gone. I don't know how he's going to go forward in the MCU. I'm excited because as a comics fan, it gives us the opportunity to get into that comics zone where Wanda is the Scarlet Witch already when they fall in love, and he is somebody who was originally built to be bad and he's turned around and is trying to learn how to love again. So it puts them in that early stage of their comics relationship, which could be really great, which I am looking forward to. But it was also, like, it was very gutting. Now, I'm also going to say I think a bit of a mistake was made with this last episode with the last moments Wanda had with her family. And I mean, I cried a lot. I cried a lot. Mostly when they were walking home, actually, because I felt like we knew what was going to happen and those little kids, they didn't know a thing. But I actually think they focused too much in this last episode on Wanda and Vision as the romance and the most important part, and they kind of lost sight of what this whole thing was about, which is more about family than the romance. So instead of the last shot with Wanda and Vision as the universe kind of crumbles around them, the fake universe, I think they should have been with their kids. I don't know, I just didn't buy, just personally as a writing choice, leaving them in their rooms, in their separate beds as the world kind of collapses and their parents are downstairs. To me, it was just trying to give us the romantic shot with Wanda and Vision together, and I feel like it was, this whole universe Wanda made was about more than that. Like, it had deeper meaning. It was the whole sense of family and recreating her family. And I was saying to Dan this morning, because we watched it really early and I was messaging him as we always do, back and forth, and a lot of boner jokes going on. But I know that if I was a writer, and this might be like really naff and cliche, but like I think I would have liked for Wanda and Vision to know that the world was collapsing around them, and we could have had a sort of parallel, a kind of repeat of the scene we saw in the flashback where the parents, Wanda and Pietro's parents, know that it's dangerous outside, but they don't want the kids to be scared, so they distract them by putting something on the TV. This is probably naff, really, like, bear in mind, like, it's early. That's my first thought. Maybe they could have put, like, something on the TV, like, they could have put, like, Wanda's favourite episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show on, and Tommy could have been complaining about it, because what is this? It's old, it's naff, it's black and white, but Billy's like, sure, I'll give it a go. You could have had Wanda and Vision on the sofa behind them. We could have had a similar shot with Billy turning around like Wanda did and seeing Wanda and Vision, and that being our last shot of them. Like Wanda's mum and dad the last time she saw them. So Wanda's like taken that place of her mother. She's kind of grown up. But the terrible sadness of it, like she could maybe blow Billy a kiss and that could be the last bit before the red kind of takes over. I just think that would be more tragic, because I think it's more than Wanda losing her lover. Like, I think it's her losing family. Vision is more than just her lover. Vision was her family, and I just think that family should have been, I think that kind of, for me, that didn't hit the heartstrings like it could have. I think it was more a family thing. I don't think the kids should have been upstairs in their beds. I think they should have been absolutely together. Okay, so the after credit scene with Monica and her Skrull friend, and this just excites me so much. Every time I see anything to do with the Skrulls, I get excited, because like it just means that Teddy's coming. It means that Teddy, Doric is coming, Emperor Doric, Emperor Hulkling. He is like, I can't tell you how much you're gonna love Teddy. If you don't know who he is, you'll adore him. He's like Prince Charming from space. He's nerdy and he's shy and he's kind and he's nice and he's this beefy blonde gay guy that is absolutely like in love with Billy, and they have the most wonderful relationship, and he is actually like the long lost heir of the Skrull and the Kree empires, and he will one day unite them and become their king. And yeah, just everything to do with the Skrulls just is so exciting to me now, because we have Billy in place, we have Tommy in place, and yeah, I can't wait for that to happen. Everything is starting to like tie up now. I mean, I would be sad that WandaVision's over, but it's not over because we've got Multiverse of Madness. Like, I know that's a long time away and that's going to be hard, but also for me, because I love like the Young Avengers so much, with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like, we're going to meet Eli Bradley, we're going to meet Patriot, who's going to be part of the Young Avengers team, so I'm just so excited for it all to happen and to find out who they cast as Billy and Tommy as teenagers. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to Teddy and the Skrulls. And we've got Monica and Carol to look forward to. Like, how's that going to go? Is there going to be resentments? I feel like there probably is going to be some resentment that Carol didn't come back for her mum. I do love the way that Marvel has managed to make their universe, the cinematic universe and the TV universe, they've made it more like the comics, because it kind of ends on a cliffhanger and you have to, it's like, read on, get the next comic and find out. But not just this comic, like, you need to follow this strand and this strand and this strand, and are you interested in this character? Follow this strand. This character? Follow this strand. Like, they've really achieved that. I don't know how they're going to keep spinning plates with this, because it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, but I'm excited to find out. So I guess I wanted to end on, like, obviously I said last episode review how grateful I am to have this series, like, for it to focus on Wanda. And I remember when they first announced it, like, it was a dream, you know, to me, that they would even have the kids in it. There was no word that the Young Avengers would ever be in the MCU. They were just a comic I loved, and there they are, the twins. Like, we've seen them grow up, people are attached to them, people care, they have their powers. Like, I am just so still overwhelmed and can't actually quite I can't quite believe it, that it's actually a thing that I've watched and that people really like, you know. It's exciting because I love the comics so much. But what would I like to see for Wanda? Because they've said that this is the start of her story. So there are a couple of things I would love. So obviously I want her to get her twins back. I want her reincarnated sons to come and find her and save her, and for her to meet them. I want her to be reunited with Vision. I really, really want her to reincarnate Pietro somehow, or take him from the multiverse. I don't care how. I really don't care how. But Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver and the Vision, they need scenes together. If you read the comics, you know the dynamic. It's so good. It's so good. You can't have Wanda without Pietro. We need Pietro back. But something else which I really want them to get into, and I feel like a long time ago, when they first put Wanda and Pietro into the MCU, I think they didn't know where they were going with them, because obviously they didn't give them their original backstory. Now, something about Wanda and Pietro is that they are Roma, so they come from a Roma family. And this is the criticism that I agree with. So when people criticise, like, WandaVision, some people are being really pompous about it, I found. Like, mocking people for enjoying a show. It's like, please, calm down, please. People, like, suddenly turn into, like, these great academics, like, everything you watch has to be the finest art ever and people can't just enjoy something. It drives me mad. But no, that, like, a valid criticism is that, you know, Wanda and Pietro have Roma heritage, and that's important. People sometimes say that they have Jewish heritage, but that kind of gets retconned out of the comics. To me, that's not such a thing. I think it's important that Billy is Jewish, like, it's very important for that. But it's their Roma heritage, and that's something they talk about, and that's something that I'd like them to explore more with Wanda, because it's not something that, like, she can't be in this show. I mean, she possibly already is. But if they're going to do this, like, and they should do it, you know, make it known. Have her actually say it, because especially in Eastern Europe, a lot of the Roma community do live in apartment buildings now, and it would make perfect sense. I just think that's the part of Wanda that needs to be there, especially now, like, especially at this time. I feel like it would be important to her character and to society for people to realise that this woman is Roma and her brother is Roma. They've had discrimination because of that. It adds layers to their story, it helps you understand her more, and I do think that's important. I would really love for them to explore that a little bit more. I really hope they will. I really hope they will, because that is part of her personality. It's just as much as, like, how important, for example, Pietro is to her. You know, their Roma heritage, it's important. I was really scared that they were going to make Wanda the villain of Doctor Strange, and that this show would end with her, like, screaming and, you know, turning red and going off like Phoenix from X-Men. But no, she's okay. She's not okay, but she's she's not a villain. But then again, I would support her. Like, if you have to tear open the whole multiverse to get Pietro back, do it. I'm behind you. Like, come on, he's your brother. I'm a sister, I'm talking to you now, you know, sister to sister. Do it. I'd do it. We'd all do it. Do it. Just a few little things that I forgot to say that I loved, like little details like Monica literally like getting in front of the kids when Hayward was shooting at them. They're 10 years old. That man, oh my god, really, I hate that man. I hardly hate people that much in shows. He was gonna shoot. He tried to shoot those kids. They were 10 years old. I mean, nasty, nasty. I just love that Monica got in front of the kids. Like, I can't wait to see more of Monica's powers. I know this isn't her show, so we'll see more of that in Captain Marvel, but I'm excited. I really like Monica. I think that's one of the strengths of this show, is including her and her story and giving her her origin. Like, another detail I really liked was Wanda using her original, you know, her red witchy woos and making Agatha relive a nightmare. Like, little details like that I just really loved. But I do still think that this last episode, I think it should have been 2 episodes. I just think some of the action was incredible, and the visuals, I mean, some of the Wanda visuals, I was floating myself. I was flying up into the sky like Wanda. I was euphoric. But I feel like it meant that some of the character stuff got lost, and I wanted a little bit more of that, because that's what has been this series' great strength, because it's been mostly a character piece. It's been this weird, interesting way of telling a story about grief. And yeah, I don't know, I just feel like this one should have been more character. Personally, I think it was too short. I blame those credits, which are so long. Okay, I'm gonna go now for the last time. I mean, the next time I talk to you about Wanda, well, it'll probably be soon. I'll probably talk about her loads in other videos. But in terms of specifically for Wanda, it's probably going to be a while. It'll probably be a year when I end up talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, but in the meantime, if you're somebody who is interested in Wanda because of WandaVision and you've not read the comics or anything, because of where we are right now in the show and where they're going, I cannot recommend the Children's Crusade enough. This is the Children's Crusade, okay? It's even, look, it's called on the back, The Search for the Scarlet Witch, which seems to be what they're gonna do in Doctor Strange. It's a really wonderful comic. I really enjoy it. It has everything you need in the comic. It's got Wanda, and it's got her kids, and it's got Pietro, and yeah, it's nice. I just love it. So yeah, buy that comic. It's great. I'm not being paid to say that. I just really love it. Okay, I love you so much. Thank you for watching these reviews. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you've enjoyed them, you can tip me on my PayPal if you want, like, no pressure, but yeah, so that's something that can be done. You can write to me via my PO box. I put that on the end. And also I wrote a song which I've told you about, which was for Wanda, for WandaVision, which I'm gonna put out in the next few days, I think, that I hope you really enjoy. So it's written inspired by WandaVision with my friend Tudor Acid, who's amazing, and yeah, it's just completely Wanda based, so hope you enjoy. Alright, I love you loads, so much. Yeah, what are we gonna do, guys? It's over. Alright, I love you loads, and let us all pray. Let us all just take a moment to pray that Pietro, Aaron Taylor Johnson's Pietro, that he moves his ass back to the MCU. Come on, please. Alright, love you loads, and I'll see you really soon. Bye!